Hey, what's going on, Guardians? TBL here, and we are only weeks away from the return of the Srl Racing League, that titular PvP tournament that's more about style and speed than it is accuracy and, well, your ability to use a Matador 64. And with all the salt currently going on in the community right now, I thought it might be a good idea to look towards the future and talk about some of the things we'd like to see in this upcoming iteration of the Racing League. And just take a little bit of time to talk about what went right last year, what went wrong, what we'd like to see changed, and what we would like to see added. And alright, before we get on with this is actually some footage from last year's Srl Racing League tournament. And I know it's not very good. This is literally footage from the first day of the tournament. I was still learning the tracks. So please cut me at least a little bit of slack. Fallout, I'm talking to you. So let's dive on in. For you Guardians who weren't around last year when the Racing League was live, it's a 6-player free-for-all death race through enemy territory atop your Sparrows. And yeah, it was about every bit as fun as it sounds. It was an alternate PvP mode with 2 maps, Campus Martius on Mars and the Infinite Descent on Venus. You could load up with your friends, head into a race, and make your way down a track filled with enemies. The goal of which being, of course, to try to get as close to first place as you can. And it was fun. It was overall a pretty well done event by the live team that had some pretty good rewards. There was a questline tied to it, its own faction, armor, shaders, and even special Sparrows that you could get, all by playing through the league. And some of the armor, being the helmet and the class item, was even infusible and would drop at high light levels, the backs back then being 320. So whether you win or lose, the Racing League wound up becoming a great way for people who didn't have time or fire teams to run the raid to get up to max level, or at least get max level helmets and class items. It really was a great way to get a few really good looking pieces of armor, and the class items themselves were super unique. They had both Crucible and Vanguard bonus reps on them, which is, curiously enough, something not even the exotic class items have on them. It also breathed a little bit more life into the tower, as of course we had the tower completely redecorated for the Racing League, and Amanda Holiday was your main faction and questline NPC. Overall, there was really a lot to love about the Racing League last year. But that doesn't mean it was an event without its flaws. Certainly there were quite a few things to complain about. And these are certainly things I would love to see addressed in the Racing League this year. So, of course, last year, microtransactions were a thing. This is an event in Destiny. And while for the most part, microtransactions, as long as they're cosmetic, don't really bother me, there are a few things that I'd like to see done differently this time around. First off, please Bungie, no $10 Srl Racing League book this year. It was absolutely not worth the purchase last year. But for those who don't know, last year for $10 you could purchase from the Eververse Trading Company a racing record book, which among other things kept track of your personal racing accolades, like the number of races you finished, the number of points you've accumulated, and how many tricks you've done. And for completing certain milestones, you would get rewards like special momentum armor and even a special momentum Sparrow. Now, while this is nice, it certainly wasn't really worth $10. You can track your racing stats on third-party websites like Guardian GG or Destiny Tracker. And the biggest benefit of the armor was that it lights up when you unlock the full set, which I guess is neat, but again, probably not worth $10. And of course, there was that little glitch back then where people were just able to pull stuff from the book, the rewards from the book, directly from the Eververse Trading Company without buying it. So yeah, that happened, but Bungie did wind up patching that one very quickly. So what would I like to see? Maybe a free racing record book this time around. Now, other microtransactions that they had were of course the Sparrow Horns and the Toolkits, which would grant you both different Sparrow Horn sounds and a different Racing League Sparrow. And I gotta admit, some of those Racing League specific Sparrows were pretty cool. But these have since become drops in the Nightfall, and as I recall, they were a reward for completing the Srl Racing League questline last time around, so hopefully that doesn't change. As usual, so long as the microtransactions remain cosmetic only, they don't really bother me too much. Another big complaint about the Racing League last year was that it was a little bit too long with not enough to it. The event lasted 3 weeks last year, which is a little on the long side when you've only got 2 maps to race through. People got tired of those fairly quickly, myself included. So hopefully that's going to be something that's different this time around. And by far one of the biggest complaints I saw for the Racing League last year was about the armor. Not all of the armor was infusible, likely due to Bungie not really wanting everybody hitting max 320 light in December, right after the hard mode of the raid went live. Seriously, it was kind of a shame. You got all of these Racing League armor drops that looked great, but you really couldn't use them outside of the Racing League itself because they were not infusible outside of the helmet and the class item. Granted, you really probably wouldn't want to use most of that armor outside of the Racing League since it has Racing League specific perks, but it would have been nice to bring that stuff up to max light. With the way the game drops loot now, and with events like Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris getting people to max light without having ever stepped foot in the raid, I don't think Bungie really needs to be afraid of players getting to max level too quickly. But alright, those are basically the pros and the cons of Sparrow Racing League last year. So what are we hoping for this year? What do we want to see in the new variant of this racing tournament? Well, for one, I think we can all agree that we'd like some more map variety. Destiny has so many cool locales and environments that I could really imagine them making some fantastic maps on the moon or in the Cosmodrome. And that's one criticism that I think Bungie really took to heart last year. Again, it was a 3-week-long event with only 2 maps, and those maps kind of got played out after a little while. I'd love to see those 2 maps come back, but along with maybe a bigger variety of new ones, at least 3 to 4 tracks this time. We've really got enough different looking areas in Destiny that I think the design team could do a really impressive job of making something spectacular. Could you imagine racing down Fellwinter's Peak? I really want to see something like that. I would also really be psyched for some sort of PvE component, for the more non-competitive Guardians out there, since not everybody wants to sweat race all the time. And of course, we're Destiny players, we always want more rewards, more shaders, more emblems, more class items. The shaders from Sparrow Racing League last year are some of the best in the game. Stuff like Midnight Lumos and Shimmer are some of my absolute favorite shaders. And I'm really hoping they've got some new ones in the pipeline, and even some new Destiny Glamour stuff like special SRL ornaments and chroma. The super special and colorful armor effects in Destiny really kind of started with the Sparrow Racing League, with all of the super flashy shaders and even a set of armor that lights up when you've got all the pieces of it on. And with the ornament and chroma system we have in the game now, I would really be interested in seeing what they can do with some new racing gear. And speaking of that gear, I would like a full infusible set of SRL armor, not just the helmets, not just the class items. Like I said before, Destiny in its current state has plenty of ways to get to high or max light, and I would love it if SRL just became another avenue to hit 400, or beyond. So new infusible gear seems like a great way to do that. And of course, earnable SRL exclusive rewards for your Sparrows are always appreciated, stuff like the toolkits and the Sparrow horns, which, if Festival of the Lost is any indication, will probably be coming back. And really, the final change I'd like to see with the Sparrow Racing League is a more reliable and timely Racing League schedule. I don't want to have to wait another full year for this event to return. It's been so rough as someone who really enjoyed the Racing League to wait month after month after month for a full year before the event came back. Hopefully it gets a more regular schedule, maybe once a month or once every other month. I would just really like to see SRL come back in some sort of regular form, and I think a great way to do that is to introduce private SRL matches. So even when the event's not live, you can head into a private lobby, set up your own race, and race it out. And at the very least, that would give you the ability to continue practicing and playing on the tracks that you love and getting better at a game mode you really like and don't want to see disappear. I mean, we already do it for the rest of Crucible. And that, Guardians, is basically it for my little personal wish list for Sparrow Racing League. We talked a little bit about the pros of last year and the cons, and how we would like to see that changed in this year's iteration of the Racing League. But alright, those are my thoughts, Guardians. What are yours? Are you guys excited for SRL coming back? What did you like about last year's league? What did you dislike? And what are you looking forward to as we head into this year's race? Be sure to let us know down in the comment section below. But alright, it's going to be it for this one, Guardians. As always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.